welcome back to another episode of Dave and Ryan Review. This episode, we're going to be talking about the original Toy Story film from 1995. Um, so how's it going, Dave?
Poised at the edge of the galaxy, Emperor Zurg has been secretly building a weapon with the destructive capacity to annihilate an entire planet. I alone hold information that reveals this weapon's only weakness. And you, my friend, are responsible for delaying my rendezvous with Star Command. You are a toy. Sorry.
I have a feeling you like this film, David. Would that be would
Well,
that be
I
accurate?
I've used that phrase, that scene over and over to get my son ready for bed, um, to hold his attention. I have seen this film, probably the most watched film I've in my life, but I still love it.
Wow. So I don't think I've seen it that much. I would say I'm trying to think. Not as much as that. Definitely not. It's not close to being most watched. Obviously, I saw it at the cinema at the time. Um, you know, groundbreaking. I believe it was the first um, like fully CGI feature length movie. Is that right? I think
They did, yeah, they did things like Tin Toy and like there was a couple others, but this was the full, like the first one.
for
Um,
from beginning to end, fully computer generated.
yeah, basically, yeah.
Um, yeah. So said Toy Story from 1995. Interesting array of voice actors. Obviously, the stars really are uh, Tim Allen and Tom Hanks as Buzz and Woody. But all the sort of supporting cast are really good in this. Um, and yeah, like it's actually it's crazy to me that this is nearly 30 years old.
Yeah, I remember my first memory of this was I remember an advert and they used, the boys are back in town, but they changed it to toys.
Mm.
And I remember there was a poster with the dog chasing Buzz and Woody on RC, and I was just like, "Oh, what is this?" And it's just one of the best films, ever. It was almost made my top 10. It was an honourable mention. Um, you know, I can't do a review without shouting out to my wife, my boy who just loves Buzz Lightyear. It's just Buzz Lightyear. My boy's 2.5 at the minute. It's just everything's Buzz Lightyear. He just loves it.
Mm.
Um, Also, I have a friend, DT. Every time I see this guy, we always talking about Toy Story. It's just, I don't know. It's just there's always something to talk about. Um,
It's
yeah.
interesting. I think you said before we got into this that we hadn't really talked about it. And
Mm.
I would say I'm definitely not as enthusiastic about this film. Not that I think it's a bad film. Um, I don't think it's a bad film at all. I just think it's like, yeah, it's a good film. Um,
Man, it's so good.
funny bits and enjoyable bits. It's certainly better than the vast majority of what
Listen, this
Pixar have
is
released over the previous maybe 10 years or so. Um, but yeah, I probably just don't regard it at that higher level, I guess.
Now. Don't get me wrong. I'm talking about Toy Story. We're talking about Toy Story 1. So forget the other ones.
Yeah, yeah. No, I know. I mean, this one is I'd say it's probably the second best one. I think I enjoy two over this one, but this is way above any of the other ones.
Mm. I mean, it still stands. Even now, you watch it and can believe it's that old. 95. I was 10 years old when this came out.
It'd be like Dave
Uh,
at that time in 1995, you looking at getting excited. We're talking about a film that was made in 68, 1967. That's how
yeah.
old. This crazy. Um, how time has just sort of gone past, and obviously now it's sort of old hat that we get these CGI films that um that that they're just sort of, it's every film is that now. Every single film is this now. So um yeah, and obviously I think in some respects Toy Story, just the way it looks, hasn't held up, because obviously we've got now like photorealistic, you can see the finger smudges on Buzz's helmet and all this other stuff. But actually, I still think I enjoy the way it looks because it's more stylized. Because they had so restrictions of what they could do, they had to sort of stylize the world, and it makes it feel like I don't want to. I'm not going to these films to look for a real. I don't
I
want
know,
to see the real
I know,
world.
I know exactly what you're saying, and I actually feel the same. I actually there's so in between Toy Story 3 and 4, they've done a like a short film. I think it's Terror, Toy Story Terror or something, and the graphics I think in that is spot on because it's not too much,
Mm,
but it's still toy like. But I know exactly what you're saying.
mm.
Uh, I found out an interesting fact about this film today from my friend at work. He told me, "Did you know that all the kids at Andy's party have got Andy's face on?"
What?
And I was like, "What?" And he went, "Yeah, because they didn't have the graphics ready." And I was like, "Oh, I don't know about that." He got home, put Disney Plus on, and had a look. If you look at the scene where the kids are in the hallway,
Yeah, yeah.
all of them have Andy's face.
Wow.
Um,
Honestly, never even, it's never even popped into going, oh, what's
no,
going on there? Because I guess
there's
it's like
one
a flash, isn't it? Really?
there's one kid that's like a bit browner, and he's got. But the thing is, they're wearing different stuff. One's got a cap on.
And they're running
It's
around,
like,
aren't they? You're not really you're not sitting and watching them, are you?
and yeah, and most of the time with the adults, it's like their legs are running around because
Yeah.
you've got that toy perspective.
Mm.
But just if you look into this film and like how it was made, this was ahead of its time. The technology wasn't actually ready,
Mm.
and they had to effectively make the technology for the film. Like it
Yeah.
was that ridiculous. I think it's amazing. I think I watched it as a 10-year-old, and now I'm watching it as a 36-year-old dad, and I'm still getting enjoyment out of it. I've seen it, and one of the biggest things about this film, and I think people listening will agree with this. You've never looked at your toys the same way since watching this film. There's that part of you that has, you know, checked to see if your toy is in the same position. Are they alive? You know what I mean? Is it obviously they're not, but this film made you question that.
Yeah, obviously it was released at right time for me. Obviously that year, I believe the Buzz Lightyear toy was like gold dust. Like people, it was the one thing everyone had to have, and it was
Mm,
basically impossible to get. You couldn't get it. At the
yeah,
time, it was just so popular. Um, and yeah, like it was just so groundbreaking at the time, and obviously paved the way for what we sort of have now. But yeah, it's such a. I think it's a. Obviously, it's just a good film, just in terms of the way it's structured. All the Woody is great, but I just love Buzz in that film because he's just so deluded, and obviously his arc,
so deluded. It makes
like
it so good though.
his arc when he finally accepts that he's just a toy. Like the music of it, like that Randy Newman, like he tries to fly and then he smashes into the ground and breaks it. His arm pops off and it's really sad. And it's like, oh, even though you're a toy, it's sad when you see him finally realize it, because I think it even says on the property of Disney or something on the bottom of his foot, I think, or something like that, or his back or
Yeah,
something. Um, so yeah, it's a good film, and obviously you've got, it just goes from, you see all the, Woody getting jealous, in this one, because Andy's loving Buzz, and he's becoming a space cadet and all this other stuff. The music again. The music's very good in this. It's very memorable, isn't it? The
Mm.
soundtrack of this film, very very memorable. Um, Definitely the best. Again, the best soundtrack out of the lot. I couldn't even tell you any of the music in the other ones. Um,
The second one, I think the only thing I can remember is the Jessie theme, "When She Loved Me."
yes, that was the one
But
that popped into my head, but
not,
that's about it. I can't remember any. But all the songs I remember of Toy Story are from the first one.
yeah, that's probably the most fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think going back to what you were saying about the Buzz Lightyear figure, I remember wanting a Buzz Lightyear, not being able to get one,
Mm.
and going to like another kid's house, and they had one, and I was like, "Oh, let me play," and they were like, "No," and I was like, I wanted a Buzz Lightyear so badly
Yeah.
because of this film. It was just, I mean, how many have they sold in their life? Flipping now,
Yeah,
millions of these things.
unbelievable. Yeah. Oh,
And
just
you
to
know,
obviously just parts of this film, even the bit that's the scarier bits is when the you see the
yes,
broken toys in Sid's room and they're all just mangled and disgusting. You're like, oh my goodness, this is like a horror film. You see the
yeah,
hand on the thing and you see the baby head on the like the Meccano spider legs or whatever they are, and it's like, oh god. And then obviously this kid is just off his rocker completely.
mm,
But but obviously they end. You see that they're nice and they fix Buzz and everything. Um, but yeah, just that final run of the film, where they scare Sid, which must be one of the scariest things, that that character. I am surprised they never went back to that character.
yeah, it would have been good, wouldn't it? Or even if like Andy and Sid had become friends one day
or,
or
or,
something.
or something, or like, yeah, because it just seemed like a thread that they left there, and it was like, oh, if they're gonna do more, he doesn't have to be a main character, but maybe he's like, oh, that Sid boy's really nice these days, or whatever. They'd never mention him or anything ever again.
Or he's gone
Um,
mental because all the toys scared the
yeah,
hell
or
out
like
of him.
whatever happened to him, like something must have. Obviously, I think they say it's him in the third one. Is it where you see the guy with the? I think you see the guy with the shirt with the
Oh, really?
skull
I
shirt
don't
when
think.
he's doing the bins, and they're like, "Oh,
Oh,
that's
right.
him."
I'll have to check that out. I didn't realise that.
Yeah, I think that's supposed to be him, but again, I don't know. It doesn't seem like, considering how big a part he is in that first film. Um, you'd have thought it would have been a bit more. Um, yeah, and
Yeah.
just the whole last part, like, the last act of the film, where they escape. They scare Sid, and they go on that sort of adventure to try and get to the truck, and then Woody makes it onto the truck, and they're like, "Get rid of him!" And they murder her and they throw him off, and he's trying to. Don't they see him like throwing RC out the thing? They're like, he's doing it again, and that's quite
Yeah.
funny. Um,
Yeah.
and then obviously, they're running away from the dog. They get away from the dog. Then RC gets, then they launch the rocket, and then they're up in, and then they're flying, and it's just such a, to build up to that moment that we'd seen all the nonsense that Buzz was completely delusional, and then he actually does fly at the end
Mm.
is brilliant. Oh well, sorry,
I
he
mean,
falls with style at the end.
yeah. It's so
Um,
good. All
yeah,
that bit is so good when and then Woody has his arms out, to infinity and beyond. It's so heartwarming, and
yeah,
then
because they
just
they that moment they do build up nicely to that, because obviously, Woody's been a bit of an arse basically the whole way through, up
yeah.
until they're in Sid's room. Essentially, he's just been like, oh, this guy, like, can we just get rid of this guy? Like, he just does not want this. And then
I
he
love
he
Tom
gets it.
Hanks plays it so well. Just like when he's annoyed with him, just like rendezvous with Star Command,
Mm,
just under his breath, mugging him off the whole
yeah,
film. And
yeah,
like the bit that I quoted at the beginning is my favorite bit in the whole film, because you could take so many parallels from that. People don't see eye to eye on things, and it's just like, you are a toy. Like he just shouts in his face, and it does nothing to Buzz
It doesn't
there. You
even
know
it
what
doesn't even go, let me think about that. Just like, yeah, whatever, mate. Like, he just doesn't even. I don't even think he even acknowledges it, does he?
I mean? Because
Um,
if you're a sad, strange little man, you have my pity.
Yeah.
Farewell. This is like,
Yeah, because I remember I heard I think it was Tim Allen was saying this, that they were finding it hard for the voice of Buzz, and then what they did at the when Tim Allen came to do it, because everyone had been playing it like funny or like winking at the camera, kind of, and Tim Allen said like he played it like straight, as in like, no, this character believes 100% that he is a space ranger, so play it like he is a space ranger, because
so
everyone had
good.
been sort of like, oh, this is a funny like winking at the camera kind of thing, and he played it more like, no, this guy 100% believes that he is a space ranger, and this isn't a joke to him or anything. This is his job,
Mm.
and that's when they found the comedy and the the chemistry with with Tom Hanks. So yeah, that'll work. I would say what I was gonna ask you was like, do you have a favorite side character?
Do you know, I really like Mr. Potato Head and Ham and their relationship together is it's a subtle one, but them two are like the bad toys, but they're but they call order if they don't see things right.
Mm.
Um, but there's so many good ones. Rex is hilarious. You've got Slinky Dog who just wants to be Woody's friend, and even like Andy and stuff is cool. I mean, yeah, they do the characters so well, don't they? Even the little, like the aliens, are
Mm.
hilarious.
Yeah, yeah.
That the claw's in charge. The claw, you know.
The
It,
Claw. Yeah.
what about you? Have you got a favorite?
Side character. Yeah, Rex is funny. I do like Slinky Dog is funny as well. I mean, they're all pretty good. Ham as well. Obviously, I think that guy that plays Ham
Hmm.
is he in all the Pixar films, bar like one or something.
Oh, really?
I
Okay.
think he does a voice in most of the Pixar films. Is it John Ratzenberger? Um,
Hmm.
I think he does a voice, even if it's like a little bit. He voices like, I think he's voiced the one in most of the films, most of the um
Oh.
Pixar
I,
films. I think bar like one or something.
I've got a funny fact that me and you will appreciate. Slinky Dog, in Toy Story 1 and 2 is like an actor, like a certain actor, I can't remember who it is, who then died, and they needed to find a replacement. So the person that does Slinky Dog in 3 and 4 is the guy in Waterboy. You remember the damn the Waterboy, like that guy?
Yeah, because the guy died, didn't
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the guy that we find hilarious
he?
is actually
Mm,
the Slinky Dog character
that's
in three
funny.
and four. Yeah. Doesn't mention the Waterboy though.
Yeah, the guy the guy he was quite famous, I think. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know him, but I mean, even I tell you, a great one is the Army dudes, and
yeah,
they got the
Sergeant.
guy from they do the army, the army guy from is it Platoon or something? But
Yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah.
you know, amazing just to have that little
Oh,
role in
is
there.
it in Platoon or is it in Full Metal Jacket?
Oh yeah, I think it was that one. Yeah,
Yeah, it's this guy.
um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I mean, I remember that as a kid. Sending the troops, and then like going down the skipping rope and then
Mm,
hiding in the plant and putting the radio on. All of that is brilliant.
mm.
That opening scene, what toy that they're going to get, and yeah. But Buzz's introduction on the bed, where there seems to be no sign of intelligent life anywhere. Hello,
Mm.
so good. Um, just Tom Allen and
Tom
Tim
ha-
Allen.
Tim
Sorry,
Allen and Tom
Tim
Hanks.
Allen and Tom Hanks. Sorry, they couldn't have bonded better in a film like this.
Yeah.
They bring it to life.
Oh yeah, they
Yeah.
they absolutely, it doesn't work without either one of them. Um,
Mm.
just it's yeah, it's just looking at it, it's like I do much prefer the like it was more of a 3D cartoon than here's a real life situation with the real everything, and this is what
Mm.
I think that to me just. has ruined some of these later ones. It's just too real.
Hmm. I'd be happy to review like the second one on the next episode if you want.
Yeah, if you want. I mean, I,
Doesn't have
I,
to,
I
doesn't have to do it. Yeah.
as I said, I like these films, but I haven't got much to say about them other than they're really good. And if you haven't seen them, go and see it. Like, watch it because
Yeah.
it's really fun,
Mm,
and they're way funnier than a lot of the, especially for kids films. They're way better than some of the kids films you're getting these days. Way
mm.
better, and there's something in it for adults as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Definitely. You want to have the final word, David?
Do I want the final word? Oh, I'd love to quote something in the film. I don't know. I can't think of anything. You had a good one at the beginning.
What you did? What did I say?
No, no, no. I quoted it at the beginning.
Yeah.
That's my favourite bit. So
Oh, okay, fair enough. All right, well, yeah, that's it for Toy Story. Great, great film. Um, and give it a watch if you haven't. Otherwise, that'll be us for this week. And thanks for tuning in.
mm.